This is a big country with a lot of complicated, rapidly evolving job situations. Does someone in the gig economy with 4 gigs have 4 jobs, or do they have 0?
Hi, my name is Drew Farrell. I'm the Senior Vice President of Symetra in the Retirement Division. And I'm joined by Dave Kansas. We're fortunate to have Dave as a consulting partner to talk about all things financial services, the sector, behavioral finance, marketplace. Dave is a gifted journalist who has a long career in both being an editor with the Wall Street Journal, thestreet.com, and he's actually been commissioned by Dow Jones to write a number of different books on financial literacy. Dave, from your personal insight, what is one of the economic or market narratives that you might find to be extraordinarily overhyped?
I would say the most overhyped is the monthly jobs report.
Okay. And why?
Well, because it's not a report, it's a guess based on data and other information, and it always gets revised up or down, sideways, sometimes in big numbers. I mean, hundreds of thousands. And when I was covering the markets, CNBC would have Jobs Friday, and they'd be, talking about when it came out at 8:30 Eastern, and we'd do the same at the Wall Street Journal, and it was, million blog posts, and what's the market doing? How are the futures? It was all this big kind of one-act play starring the jobs report. And then a month later, you'd read, oh yeah, well that number wasn't 200,000, it was 42,000.
That's a big precipitous drop.
Yeah, it's a big drop. And so, and then they've gone back. They have released data that covered the end of the Biden administration, where several 100,000 jobs that the government said had been created, actually had not been created as they went and reevaluated the revisions. So the monthly jobs report is basically 2 surveys. There's an establishment survey and a household survey. One does the unemployment rate, one does the number of jobs created, and it's kind of calling around, doing estimates, using models. And this is a big country with a lot of complicated, rapidly evolving job situations. Does someone in the gig economy with 4 gigs have 4 jobs, or do they have 0? So you have all of those things kind of wrapping together against a statistical model that struggles. And that's why you have these gigantic revisions, and it should not get the attention that it gets, and we should be taking a longer, more sophisticated view of the jobs picture. I think things that are stronger in short term are consumer sentiment, inflation measures, other things like that tend to have more reality and fewer revisions.
So does the notion of not reporting enough on the underemployed as opposed to the unemployed factor into what you're talking about?
Yeah, that is an undercovered area, and that data are included in the report, but again, it's highly estimated and difficult to ascertain. I think it is not an issue that gets enough attention and enough coverage. I think financial journalists come at it indirectly through rising consumer debt. And the Federal Reserve of New York does a lot of measurement around this, how consumer debt is going, and it has been rising. And there's some concern about the amount of credit card debt, for instance, that consumers have, and that can be tied into that underemployment, not making enough money, so you gotta lean on the plastic a little harder. So there are ways to try to get at it, but it is undercovered.